Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the B Team Podcast. As always, they are live on the Jackrabbit Illustrated Facebook and Twitter. We are also live on the FCS Fans Nation YouTube for the fans, by the fans. Beyond that, you can catch the show if you don't catch it live anywhere you get your favorite podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere in between. As always, the B Team is brought to you by our title sponsor, Kubota Dealers of South Dakota. If you need a tractor, utility vehicle, construction equipment, zero-turn motors, parts, service, and more, there's always a Kubota dealer near you with 8 locations across the great state of South Dakota. Stop in today and get yourself into some orange equipment. We would also like to take a moment to thank our segment sponsors, Culver's, Brookings and Watertown, Jackrabbit Central, and Cubby's Sports Bar and Grill. And now, B-Team Mafia, the time's arrived. Here's Ben, Chad, and Brendan.
What is up, everybody? It's just Ben and Chad right now. We're waiting for Brendan. He's headed back from a concert, I guess. And so we're just going to get started without him. We've delayed this long enough. Thanks for waiting for us.
Sorry about all that.
Yeah, normally we go Monday night at 8:30, but had to go to the basketball game last night, and then had to wait until 9 o'clock tonight so we can get on the Fans Nation YouTube. Look at this guy, just right on time. There he is. Can you hear us?
if we would have waited Ben time, we might have actually been on time.
Dustin was saying that he was judging our start time, but we started right at 9 o'clock. So
we did.
Take it easy, Dustin.
Shut up, Rev.
Yeah, agreed. The Matt head, the Matt Fathead was amazing. I don't know if it. I think I watched most of the broadcast back, but I didn't see it on the broadcast, unfortunately. So that just means we'll have to keep it going.
Did you see my wife's tweet where she...
Oh, I think we lost Chad for a bit.
No.
Oh, great.
He's been hit by the Alex bug.
He's got the Kenkel internet.
No.
I did see your wife's tweet about it. But yeah, we'll have to keep it going for the future games. I was teasing him on the show the other night that we're going to distribute mini fatheads to the whole student section, which would be amazing.
Similar to my idea that I don't want to say I'm on live because I don't want them to know about what my plan is if it works.
Because it might actually happen.
Because it might actually happen. But we're not far off on what we're thinking about there.
Yeah. Anyway, big win against NDSU. It went, I think, about, like we thought it would. I think, I'm pretty sure I said a 14 to 17 point victory. But the interesting thing is, looking back at the stats and kind of doing the rewatch, it's if NDSU hadn't had those 3 turnovers, and that's a big if. There's Sam's tweet. I replied to that with the Megamind.
He looks like an alien.
Yeah. But anyway, if they hadn't had those turnovers, it would have been a really close game. It would have been tight at the end. And NDSU, I think, showed more than I thought they would. Defensively, they didn't look as bad as I thought they would. And offensively, they caused some problems for us. They got in some open space, caused some broken tackles. So definitely some stuff to improve on. If you listen to Jimmy's press conference, he clearly wasn't real happy about the defensive performance after he watched it back. He talked about a lot of missed tackles, talked about turning Cam Miller into Cam Newton. So yeah, what were your guys' thoughts on the game?
I mean, my first thoughts are, how do you do this coming in right at the last second? I am all over the place with my mindset. It's impressive, to be honest with you, that you can do this every week by just showing up right when it starts. Be like, yeah, all right, I'm ready. Like, I don't know if you've been thinking about it the whole time. Like, I'm in a rush and my head's not settled yet into what I want to do here.
Just a professional, Brendan.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, professionals always show up right when it
Consummate professional.
No, the biggest takeaway.
It's like a light switch. He's just ready to go. You turn him on.
That's what all the girls call him, light switch. Anyways, no, my biggest takeaway from this game is this could have been really, really ugly if we finished drives like we normally do. I was really,
definitely. Right.
I mean, if you do the math on the drives that stalled, that almost never stall for field goals that Hunter punched through, that's a 49-16 game. Realistically, even with that, this was a 30-9 game, and they scored a touchdown late. We could be picky if we want. The coaches obviously are, like you said. Jimmy said he was not impressed with the defensive performance. Even though, yeah, exactly. Jason Dorman says there's no defensive player of the week this week. Yeah, Jimmy does not screw around when he's not happy with a performance from something. So that's always a good thing. But I was really surprised that we didn't punch some of those in. The yardage was a little surprising, but in the end, you held a team that's been averaging 30, hot mid or high 30s offensively to 16 points. I mean, realistically 9, but they got 16. 16 at the end of the game. That's what matters. That's not a terrible defensive performance as a fan. I totally get where Jimmy's coming from a coach's standpoint and everything like that. Really wish we could have punched some of those in. I know a lot of people have been begging for passes to Zach Hines. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but on the flip side, we don't pass that much as it is, and we have as many offensive pass catching weapons as we do. It does make it a little tough. So
right.
It to a point, but yeah, I don't know. My major takeaways: we've done an incredible job of turning the ball over. You keep showing the stat on Midco. Last 2 years led the country in interceptions, and that's what I find really interesting is people for the last 3-4 years have said, well, the Jacks are kind of gettable passing the ball on them, but they've led the country in interceptions for 2 years. It is amazing, and they're making a comeback. They're back inside the top 10. I just checked. They're 5 interceptions behind Jackson State, who that's a tough hill to climb. But on the flip side, it's not impossible. That's for sure, considering that where the interceptions numbers were before. So that's kind of my overarching views. Besides that just felt good.
Yeah. Somebody asked what stood out to you guys from NDSU being the biggest difference between the two teams. I will say that their offensive line is still pretty good, especially at their at pass protection. They did not give up very many pressures at all, and Cam Miller was able to kind of sit and wait for the receivers to get downfield and then decide not to throw it because he just is scared of throwing the ball and then take off and run. But one thing JD Dorman here mentions the NDC's lack of urgency with the hurry up offense. And yeah, I mean, you talk about what stands out as the difference between the two teams. NDSU fans are probably going to be on board with this. Right now, it's coaching a little bit. There was one point where NDSU was trying to score, and they ran a very predictable QB power, and we were laughing because it's like everybody saw that coming, and everybody knew that it wasn't going to work, especially against NDSU or SDSU. So I don't know. I would be really surprised if Roll makes it through to next year. I'm guessing they'll probably give Entz another shot, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, depends on how they finish out the year, probably. But I think there's some clear locker room problems there, and I think there's some coaching issues too.
Yeah, and Kevin says here, Kevin Marshall says they didn't hurry because they knew the game was over. If there's two options there. Either they're overconfident three, I guess. There's three options. Either they're overconfident and we're like, well, we're just going to do what we do and climb back into the game. We're not going to abandon our game plan, which is just either arrogance or stupidity. Or they knew the game was over, but how do you give up in that game?
Right.
I mean, take the rivalry stuff out of it. That game makes or breaks your season. You win that game. I mean, we've watched it from the flip side on that side. I've never seen the Jacks be like, well, this one's over. Let's run out the clock. You fight till the end on that. And, a little bit of it almost echoes their fan base where they don't have that fight when they're down. They've been up for so long.
Right. That's what somebody mentioned how quiet it was in Fargo, even leading up to the game.
Yeah. Oh, I have no doubt. They don't have a lot of that underdog fight in them. Mm-mm. You'll see NDSU fans. Yeah, we're underestimate us and see what happens. You haven't been an underdog for a decade. Mm-hmm. Realistically,
right?
I don't even know if they know how. And I almost wonder if that carries over to the team a little bit. I don't know. It doesn't. It feels like something's not right there. Just from a culture standpoint, it was super. Even going into half, right? Mm-hmm. When they missed that long field goal, that did not look like a 2-minute drive. That looked like we're running our offense and we're going to take what they give you. And we're fairly confident we're going to gash you with the run. Like there's a reason a 2-minute offense exists and it's ran the way it's ran. And either they don't have one, they don't understand how to run one, or they're so overconfident in their capability to get a huge running play that they just stick with it. And none of it makes sense.
Right. Yeah, no, it's weird watching it, especially after the dominant run they've had. And it'll be interesting to see how they finish out the season. Somebody asked if they're going to lose to SIU. We'll talk about that in our Scared Money Don't Make Money episode tomorrow night. But maybe SIU can definitely beat them. You don't think so?
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying it's impossible by any stretch. Nick Baker, I lost all faith in him after that game against USD. I mean, 0 points. Like that's a good defense.
Concerning for
you're
SIU.
At home. You don't get a touchdown until 4 minutes left. Like that is. What did we say about them? We said if Nick Baker plays like he did against SDSU in the rest of the games, they will be a seed. Guess what he didn't do? He went back to bad Baker, and they put up 7 points at home.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, that is concerning for SIU. They're going to have to find an offense again. Otherwise, yeah, you're probably right that it won't go well for them. It is interesting. They could end up. I don't know who their last game of the year is, but they were looking pretty good for a seed, and then after a loss to USD, and I believe they play. I guess they got Indiana State, but Indiana State's been a little feisty, so I don't know. Who knows?
Yep.
But anyway, let's go ahead. Look at that beautiful Matt Fathead. That's just awesome back there.
God, that's great. That's so funny. I can't believe I named the Argus. That's hysterical.
It is awesome. For those that didn't see, Argus called him a former player, which is amazing.
Hey, while we're going here, I just want to know ahead of time, are we going to do me and Zach Borg 2-hour show tonight, or are we just doing a...
No, I am not going 2 hours, dude.
Coward.
Oh, how can you talk for 2 hours?
Pretty easy. I don't know. It doesn't feel any different than we're sitting there bullshitting during tailgating. So
Well, yeah, I suppose
it's true. Very true.
No, I did not mix milk and soda. This is okay. All right. Came from a concert. I was drinking Crown and Coke. Have to have chocolate milk on the show, otherwise I will get burned at the stake. And so we got home roughly 2 minutes before 8, and I sprinted in here and started all that stuff. So now Ariel, doing her best Sam Myros impression, ran me a Crown and Coke.
It's on its way, I think. I can hear her making my drink in the background. You guys can't hear that. The mic's pretty good, but I can hear it.
That's awesome.
Noise canceling headphones.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to recap the picks from last week. The picks, you got saved, Brendan. It wasn't looking good for you.
I got screwed in that Missouri State, Illinois State game too, which if I lose by a game, I am going on protest.
Oh yeah, that's true. We'll talk about that when we get to it.
Don't give me this. I got saved. I took it right up the tailpipe from the Missouri Valley football officiating crew.
And how did they get that wrong? Even we should talk about the play now that we're talking about. But how did they get that wrong on review?
I don't know how. I've never in my life. No way. Flip's sake. I have never ever seen a play where the receiver reacts like, damn, I dropped it, I am heartbroken, and then get it overturned to do a catch.
Right.
In my life, to set the scene,
Yeah.
Missouri State and Illinois State are playing each other. They went, and where did you get the hat, Chad?
Jackrabbit Central, of course.
They have a big and tall section online now. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. That's awesome.
They had it there, but it's online.
I meet at least one of those two criteria. I'm not all that tall, so.
Oh, you're fairly tall.
I'm not short.
Did you know that it's Touchdown Tuesday?
I did know that it's Touchdown Tuesday, and it's Touchdown Tuesday till the end of the day, so you can still take advantage of that online. Get yourself 15% off. And my understanding is, and I don't know how it works online, but that also stacks with your Jackrabbit Club.
Correct.
So you got
discount.
like
or is it
2
15?
hours and
That's
45
15.
minutes to take advantage of Touchdown Tuesday.
Feels like a telethon.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, Chad is modeling the nice black South Dakota State Jackrabbit hat with the Jackrabbit on the left-hand side.
We'll have to talk. We'll have to talk to the bookstore about it because it's about a 2013 vintage, 2012 vintage. So,
all right.
It's a good thing you kept the cardboard in there. Otherwise, it would have been worn out by now.
See, everybody's clowning me. Maybe I'm just on a whole other level.
Anyway, thank you to Jackrabbit Central for sponsoring us. They are the spot to go for Jackrabbit apparel. Correct. Anyway, go back to your scenario.
Yeah, so Illinois State drove down, scored a touchdown. They are going for 2 for the win. They throw a pass out into the flat to a wide open receiver, hits him in the hands. He turns to make the catch. And as he's pulling the ball in, he technically takes a second step. And then the ball falls out of his hands, out of the end zone as he's in the end zone.
Which I don't know what he was doing, but
there was no. I don't know how he dropped it. First off,
that's what I mean.
Like that was insane. Like he pretty much had it, and then it just went out of his hands.
Like it was a greased pig. But how prophetic is that you and I were talking about that? I brought it up to you in the stands, like how dumb the rule is that all you have to do is break the plane. You should have to do something more.
Okay.
Right?
Well, breaking the
plane. Did he break the plane? I mean, with control?
No,
did he have control?
You have to complete the catch.
I mean,
he did not complete the catch. There's no way in hell. Don't even try. Oh, he took 2 steps. Since when has anyone followed that?
Garrett Meyer thinks he took 3 steps.
Here's the deal.
Even 3 steps. I've seen dozens of plays like that. where they blow it dead because instead of calling it a fumble.
If he would have did what he did and like dropped the ball like a lot of players do as they get into the end zone and then celebrated, it wouldn't have looked near as bad. And it's
But he
like,
didn't, because he didn't have control of the ball.
No, he was like fumbling it.
He was fumbling.
Yeah.
It hit him in the hands, and then it was bobbly, dropped it. And to be honest, I'm going to fully disagree with Garrett saying that he took 3 steps. He hit it, and as he was tucking it, he loses control and starts bobbling it. That's why it falls out. He didn't get no 3 steps in.
It's almost like he hit it with his quad as he was catching it, and it kind of like popped somewhat out of his hands, and he was trying to catch it, and it started falling down, and the tapered end of the ball made it fall out. I don't know.
Hey, Brian Thompson, our kicker made you money last week. I know this because you told me the way you were betting last week, and he made you money this week. So I got a feeling this here he can kick rocks very well, further than you. But
and that's because we retained the rock, right? And Brian's team didn't bring it back to Fargo.
All right, let's get back on track here.
Why does anyone care, Ron? Because it's going to screw me in the standings. And if I lose this goddamn picks thing and have to wear these stupid cat ears for another year, it matters. So shut up, Ron. That's why I care. You follow us every week and you don't understand what's on the line here. You're killing me, man.
And next year it's going to be something else equally ridiculous, right?
Yeah,
we figured out what the penalty is.
Oh, I have a plan, and I'm not telling you.
Penalty for what? What are you talking about?
Losing.
Do you lose next year?
No, we haven't figured it out yet.
No. We'll have to have a production meeting sometime. All right. Anyway.
Oh, no. Here we go.
Leave it up to the fans.
We're gonna Ben can concoct his own idea. I'm gonna concoct my own idea.
I like Brian.
And it'll be one episode.
All right. Sounds good. We're back
I don't know
on
if you were
track.
concocting an idea there.
We're not back on track.
Speechless.
I'm just making sure you guys got it all out so I could continue with my spiel here.
How are we going to go 2 hours?
Did we interrupt you?
Are you
trying to do something? Yeah, right. Only 22 minutes in. I've only been here for 20 of them.
This is true. All right. Furman. Number 4. Furman. I should do this like Kevin Marshall. Number 4, Furman. Took down number 15, Chattanooga.
Not quite enough drawl in there, but that's not half bad.
It's not bad.
I love it. Anyway, Furman won 17-14. They covered, and Montana with a huge win over Sac State, 34-7. UNI whooped up on Western Illinois. Western Illinois completely given up on the season. UNI won 50-6. UND won 45-31. That's the one that saved your bacon, Brendan. That was an interesting game. What are you laughing about now, Chad?
Nobody wants to see this, Steve Anderson. Nobody. Mankini.
Where did that even come from?
Oh, they're putting up suggestions from what you lose.
Oh God, nice.
Mankini on the corner of 41st and Louise with a sign.
No, we're getting
the
out of
Jack
control
Rabbit
here.
Illustrated sign saying I suck at picking games.
We never agreed to that intensity of punishment.
You know what I could tell? Ben knows he's losing by a lot right now.
I'm losing, yes. Anyway, where are we at? We got so the UND Murray State game. That was actually interesting. I'm kind of excited for Murray State. They've been showing some fight this year. They were down 31-10 in the third, and they got within 7 twice on UND. And so it'll be. I mean, it's just good to see. I think when they came in the league, we thought they were going to be a bottom dweller for sure. And they've shown some fight. Another team that's shown some fight is Indiana State. Youngstown State only beat them 19-7, did not cover that spread. Illinois State won 36-35 because of the play we were talking about. And USD won in a very boring game, 14-7 over Southern Illinois. Like we were talking about, Southern Illinois has completely lost their offense. I don't know what they're doing at this point. And then SDSU won 33-16, covered their spread, which it got interesting at the end there. I heard that the line closed at like 14.5, and we were up by 14 late and got that extra field goal. So that definitely swung it. I don't know what Brian's
he said he didn't bet on
spread
the
was,
game.
but gotcha. Well,
that's what he said right here. Wasn't
Gotcha.
even watching the game, was in North Carolina, but knew the outcome. Also did not bet on it. 14 was too much, I felt, and said 10 and under.
Probably a good call.
That's how you make money, folks. Taking Brian's advice.
No, you don't know how to say Ponset, Kevin.
No, obviously not.
No, it's America. Kevin can be as wrong as he wants.
Yeah, I mean, look at the people up north. They say Bison. It obviously doesn't have a Z in it.
You drink enough SoCo, you can say anything any way you want.
That's true. So to recap, I went 5-3, Bender went 5-3, and the computer went 5-3. So we all had a decent week. And I'm still a bunch of picks behind Brendan.
How many picks are you behind?
I don't have that pulled up right now, but I can do it real quick.
That doesn't feel true.
I actually didn't. I had my spreadsheet pulled up, not the I'm actually only 4 games behind you, I think. Yeah, it seems right. So not too bad. But I've got some work to do, and there aren't that many weeks left. There are 2 regular season weeks, which is insane that we're that far into the season already. It doesn't feel like we've been, I don't know. It's just been a blur, but it's been a fun blur.
Oh, man.
I mean, this season is just, it's been great so far. And it's so weird to go into games like we have been, just with the confidence. And I mean, we've just never had this feeling, right? Where, like last year, I feel like it was different, right? Like we weren't this confident last year. We would go into games way more nervous. We'd come out with way more problems that happen. And this year, it's just like, man, we're just so good. And like, I don't know if anybody can beat us. But yeah.
I'm genuinely nervous about this week, though. Like, this one's concerned me from the start of the USD week, just looking at it. I mean, to keep the emotion up as high as they've had to for 2 rivalry games in a row, just garbage.
Yeah.
Screw you, MVFC. And then having this game's gonna be at 11 a.m. in the morning for people who aren't aware. If you happen to catch the noon start time, because it's noon on the East Coast, I'm pretty sure.
Yep,
it's noon, so it's gonna be 11 here. Like that's tough, man. That's gonna be. I mean, even Mark, I believe in his post-game comments, Borg mentioned that he had brought it up and said, "Yeah, man, it's gonna be hard to keep the emotion up after these last 2 weeks." So, Shauna, yes, I do say I'm nervous every week because I genuinely am nervous because I also have.
Well, some of us are confident every week.
Yeah. I just I don't know. Every time I've ever been super confident, it ends up biting me. So
that wasn't the case the one time in Fargo, though.
In football, yeah, because I needed to calm you down and like.
You're like, we're gonna win this. We're gonna win this. I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm at the dome here.
Like, no, we're good. We're good.
But yeah, it's a sketchy game, that's for sure. Like you said, coming off 2 rivalry games, the weird game time, and Youngstown State's a good team. They've kind of quietly had a good year. They haven't, been up in the top 10 rankings like NDSU and USD and SIU and even UND. But they've always kind of been on that fringe in like the 15 to 20 range. And their losses are really close, good losses. And they have some good wins too. And so, yeah, I mean, they're going to put up a fight, and it's not going to be an easy game by any means.
I mean, part of their problem and why they haven't gotten into that top 10 is every time they get close, they drop a game by 3 points at South Dakota or at Northern Iowa when they're right on the verge. It's like, man, killing yourselves. And that's put them in a tough spot. their only signature win is that Southern Illinois game, and when you include their out of conference of Robert Morris and Valparaiso and how strong the bubble looks this year, the fact that there might be 7 Valley teams looking to get in on the at-larges, like they're in a tough spot if they don't play us. If they don't play us, they're in a tough spot if they don't beat us to make the playoffs. They just are.
Right.
Y-Town saying Youngstown State has the honor of playing the number 1 FBS and FCS teams in the same season. So this is full circle.
Yeah,
because we played Drake, who played the number 1 NAIA team and then played us. And now we're playing Youngstown, who played the number 1 FBS team and then played us. All we need to do is play Montana, because they had played the formerly number 1 D2 team, and then they can play us.
Yeah, that's rough. Chad, now might be a good time to pull up the Missouri Valley standings.
All right.
And we can say that those are presented by Culver's of Brookings and Watertown. Thank you, Culver's. Great spot to go get your custard, your Butterburgers, your cheese curds, whatever you need.
Look at Matt's face.
I know. I'll never get sick of it.
I'm not even mad when it loads anymore. I hope it takes 5 minutes so we can see Matt's fat head.
Yeah, can we just take us off screen and we'll just talk while Matt's fat head's on screen?
I don't think there's a way to take us off screen, unfortunately, and still have it.
His wife came sprinting over and
Did she really?
Took a picture with it. Oh yeah, right away. She's like, I heard you have a fat head of Matt. I'm like, yeah, man, it's right here. And she's like, can I get a picture with him? I'm like, of course, absolutely. That's why it's here.
Did we get the you guys? Because I missed it if we did.
No, we got to oh my gosh. If everybody's wondering, it's going to be at the next tailgate so that people can have photo ops with it. That's something that's going to happen. So
now we have a cardboard Rev and a cardboard hat. Matt, sorry.
I was considering sticking it to cardboard Rev.
That would be good. As Ariel says here, she still needs a Curter burger. Brendan, how have you not got her a Curter burger yet?
Yeah, man.
Why is everything my job?
I just want to know, when did you buy your last bag of milk?
I haven't bought my first bag of milk yet.
And why is that?
Because the Quick Trip by me opens like next week.
Oh,
gotcha.
So, what's funny is, sorry, you mentioned that, and we're stepping on our own, sponsor segment here, but I have friends from Harrisburg text me and be like, God damn, Quick Trip is huge. Like, yeah, it's the real deal. Anyways.
Yeah, don't mind me just trying to give Culver's a shout out here, talking about
the guys who paid us. Burger. Let's go burger.
We went from one dairy product to another. It seemed to make sense to me.
I blame Chad.
All right. Anyway, let's take a peek at the Valley standings here. SDSU at the top, 6-0 in the conference. USD and UNI at 5-1. UNI has been putting a string of games together. They had a pretty tough schedule early, and they're sitting pretty good right now. UND at 4-2, Youngstown State also at 4-2, and then you got NDSU, SIU, and Illinois State at 3-3. And then you got Missouri State 2-4, Murray State 1-5, and both Indiana State and Western Illinois 0-6. But if you look at the overall standings, we have a bunch of potentially playoff eligible teams, with 7 of them having the potential for at least 7 wins, maybe 8. Well, they probably not all 7 of them can get 8 wins, but it's a strong possibility that 7 of them could have 7 wins. And so it's going to be a real interesting selection Sunday for some Valley teams that the ones at the bottom are going to be sweating it out. Like you said, Youngstown State, if they lose to us, and then their only game left is Murray State, and what's your marquee win there?
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough. NDSU, go back to the standings there, Chad, for a second. Okay. So the other teams that need potentially a couple wins. NDSU is another one. If they would drop the game to Southern Illinois, they would have a really tough game at UNI to try to get them to 7 wins. And, if they beat Southern Illinois and they get to 7, they'll probably be in. The weird thing is if they win both games, they'll probably be a seed. Just because there have been so many teams at the top losing that the seed pool is pretty weak this year. So that it'll be interesting, like that UNI, would it be crazy if UNI comes all the way back and gets a seed from where they were early in the season? Because I think they can. I mean, if they beat NDSU to finish out the season,
you can sneak in that 7-8 spot.
100%. And they've got Missouri State this week, and so other teams need to win. Youngstown State, UND's in a world of hurt. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind for folks. Dustin made a comment earlier about the Valley following the CAA schedule to get the most teams in the playoffs as possible. Not entirely wrong there. If you look at it, how many of these teams have records inflated by getting to play Murray, Indiana State, and Western Illinois? And even Missouri State, where if you take one of those off their schedule, that they're sitting at making 6 wins instead of 7 because they didn't get to play Western and Indiana State and Murray State. I'm just throwing that out there to keep that in mind. This isn't the Valley as we remember it from even a year ago, where everybody had a tough schedule. Mm-hmm. We feel that everybody has a tough schedule in the Valley because we've played every difficult team in the Valley. That's like we're getting the 4th worst team in the Valley. That is our easiest game, is Missouri State. They're the 4th worst because Indiana State's not better than them. Western isn't better, and Murray isn't better. So you're getting that. That's the easiest game. It's crazy. 5th.
Yeah, you got to count us, but yeah. Anyway, can't play.
You're saying we're the 5th worst? We're one of the worst teams?
Never mind. You're not following my logic. It's okay.
I'm not. But so when you're before you go all off and say Valley schedule so tough, that's why the SOS is so good. You got to keep in mind a couple of these teams have 3 wins from playing nobody in conference. Genuine, not Valley level competition. It just is what it is. And the other thing is, if you want to, before you get all excited about wanting 6 or 7 teams in the Valley to make the playoffs, my question genuinely is why? Do you want to have half the playoff games in Brookings be against Valley teams? That's what you want to watch again? Because right. I always think it's a lot more fun when we get a Delaware or we get a Furman. Say Furman were to come. That'd be fun. That'd be new. That'd be exciting. I enjoy different teams. I don't want to see UNI again. I don't want to see USD in the playoffs. You're just I'm not that excited about 6 or 7 Valley teams in the playoffs, to be honest, because they're going to get 4 of them on our side of the bracket.
Right. I love Ron. Ron said the SES as a whole sucks this year, and Kevin said, "No, Ron, you suck."
So do you if you hold your mouth just right, Kevin.
Back to Ron's comment here. I disagree with this. I think that it feels that way just because there's such a big gap between SDSU and the rest. But if there wasn't that gap, we would just say this is a super exciting season. There's a lot of parity, and we wouldn't say that the rest of the FCS sucks.
So answer this question: who's the SDSU this year compared to us being the Bison of old? Is that why that's the way it is? Typically we would push them. Who's pushing us? Montana State did at the beginning of the year, I guess, but they've had a loss since, and I've just been pondering why we don't have someone.
I would say Montana State is super SDSU of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Okay.
on the nuts, lose 3 games,
Yeah.
way better team than what they're going to get a seed for.
Mhm.
You know, that team that ran out of gas out in Billings. Wow, that's awful. Wow, Bozeman ran out in Bozeman.
Out in Butte.
Yeah, out in Butte and all that shit. No, but ran out of gas out in Bozeman. Like everybody knew that was not an unseeded team, like or a low seed that was better, but it got seeded that way because we had losses we shouldn't have had. And the same thing's going to happen to Montana State, and they might run out of gas. I genuinely think Montana State's probably the second best team in the country. They're not going to get that seed. Odds are, even if they beat the Grizz, can you justifiably put a 2-loss Montana State over a Furman team? And everybody wants to poo-poo Furman's strength of schedule, and I can't believe I'm doing this because Kevin's going to have the biggest heart on ever. Just
Schmeckle.
Devil Schmeckle is going to be all excited. It's you look at Furman, they've got 3 ranked wins, but they're not top 10. I don't care. It's 3 ranked wins and no FCS losses, not compared to when you're seeding. You can't be like, I don't know. I just can't put Montana State with who's lost half of their top 25 ranked games. And like, yeah, that sucks. It is what it is. They scheduled tough and that happens sometimes, but yeah, Furman's going to be over them. They won't get the 2. They might get the 3. I could see Idaho being over them as the 3 as well. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Ron says he doesn't care about rankings until the semifinals. Then you'll care.
Right.
Everybody cared plenty when Montana State had to go to Brookings last year. Then it mattered. So yeah, I don't know. They're a mess. The Big Sky's a mess, and I really believe that they're tracking just like SDSU in 2021, which is great news if you're a Montana State fan for next year. Because unlike SDSU and NDSU, for that matter, they don't have a massive amount of seniors.
Chad, I was just trying to get you out from behind the.
Yeah, that's fine. I know, but that was a worse look because you couldn't see anybody's face then.
Anyway, yeah, I think it's Montana State this year. Idaho's got they got potential. Montana's got potential. The Big Sky, it'll be real interesting to see, whoever wins the Brawl of the Wild could be for a 2 seed.
Somebody's going to have epileptic seizure from the Mount. We're switching.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Cool.
I'll stop. I was just trying to go old school with the vertical one, but then it was cutting so much of us off. I don't know what's with that.
Anyway, this question's been asked a couple times. Do you think a lot of seniors come back for SDSU? I think box one that gets mentioned. I think you guys talked about that on Sunday. I think it's more likely that Bach will come back now that he got injured this year. It'll be interesting to see. I'd have to look at the rest of I don't think Isaiah Davis isn't coming back. I think he's rightfully so. He'll go to the draft. I'd have to look at the list of other guys that have a year of eligibility that could use it. But maybe we'll save that for maybe the bye week of the playoffs. Matthew Cole thinks the Jacks could beat the New York Giants. I don't know about that.
No.
Let's start with like Alabama, and then work our way up to the New York Giants.
How about the Rams? How about the Rams? Because they got to play Carson Wentz now.
No NFL teams.
No college team would ever beat an NFL team. The end of story. That's the end of that argument.
That's not true in history, however, but anyway.
Right now.
It will be interesting to see
today's America.
When and I think we would have had to, if we would have had an FBS game this year, I could have seen potentially us being listed in the top 25 like NDSU was that 2013 or 2018, one of those 2 years. I don't think we'll see it just because we don't have that FBS win. But I would bet again. I would bet on us against, I don't know, all but probably the top 20 in the FBS, I suppose.
If we play South Dakota's game against Missouri, do we win that game? I mean, we certainly beat them by more than Missouri did, but there's other factors. I'm sure they pulled their starters. So
I would have confidence against us against Missouri. Zach says we beat Iowa this year. Yeah, I would.
we should have beat them last year.
I want to put the brakes on this conversation. This is how
No.
this
Yeah,
gets
that's
flipped
true. That's
and
true.
snipped.
That's true.
Well, whatever.
We lay an
point.
egg
Good
at
point.
Youngstown. This gets clipped and snipped, and rightfully so, gets run up our asses. This becomes the most arrogant. I remember listening to this crap up in Fargo, and I hated it.
Hey man,
No.
it's fun
Stop
to
it.
talk about. How
Stop.
often?
No,
how
stop.
often are we going to
Talk
have
about that
seasons
shit at the bar,
like
not on a
this?
recording. I don't need our faces. My face is attached to enough bad stuff already.
Dude, the JMU versus SDSU would be entertaining. Can we say that?
That would
It'd
be
be
a lot of fun.
entertaining. I think it'd be entertaining. Yeah.
I'm all about if JMU's like, hey, you guys want to play a bowl game against us after the season's over, and we were like, yeah, let's do it in the Bahamas. That'd be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I could take a trip to the Bahamas.
I mean, it'll never happen, but
No.
Just
Just like them getting in a bowl game this year. It's never going to happen.
right. Anyway, this FBS Talk segment has been brought to you by Cubby's Sports Bar and Grill, your number one sports bar and grill in Brookings, South Dakota, for all Jackrabbit games. Go check out, I think the Coach Rogers show is on Thursday now that basketball has started. Which, by the way, I guess thank you to Cubbies and ad. By the way,
you guessed thank you to Cubbies.
I mean, well, I just wanted to make sure I got.
You guessed.
You wanted to get
Jesus
that in there
Christ.
before we started talking about bags of milk again.
Way to be appreciative, buddy.
I
Jesus
am
Christ.
very appreciative of Cubbies. Damn it.
Thanks.
I was
guess.
just,
I, don't
I
know.
was
They're all right.
excited. That's not how I. Now you're putting words in my mouth. I was excited
Flip
to
it,
talk
said
about the Frost Arena renovation, the new First Bank and Trust Arena, which is going to be hard to not call it Frost. But you need to go check it out. It is awesome. I will say the construction dust is an absolute problem. It's everywhere and on everything, and it gets stirred up by the fans and it gets onto the court and the players are slipping all over the place. So that's an issue, but it'll be interesting to see what they do about that. However, overall, the stadium's looking amazing. It's going to be great.
Yes, it looks awesome in the pictures. I plan on getting up there here soon. That dust is going to be tough, man.
I don't know what you do about it,
because they're not doing like, oh, we're going to remodel a bathroom. Like they're still doing real work.
Right.
So that's really tough. Jim says, shout out to the Jackrabbit soccer team, Summit League champs for they won the Summit League tournament. They got second in the conference this year. They won, I think, 2 years in a row prior.
Yep.
They had some major injuries this year, and they came out and won the whole damn thing and are going to the national tournament, the big dance. So congratulations to them for sure for adapting, overcoming. Love to see them pull out one or two, but honestly, after a couple tough games in the tournament in the last couple of years, it's really good to see them win the tournament.
100%. Jim said that's on Friday. I don't have any more details than that, but
National Signing Day for all other sports is tomorrow, so that's a fun fact too.
Did not know
Hope
that.
we get some new wrestlers signed.
Yeah,
That would be good. If we don't sign any, it'd be hard to keep a team.
Wow.
All right.
Brendan with the extra dad jokes tonight.
See, this is why I just drink chocolate milk during the pod.
Right. Back to the Youngstown State game. Let's how do we see this playing out? Obviously we talked about could be a tough game, tough spot. I'd like to see us get out and establish the run. establish the line of scrimmage, and really control the ball. Honestly, if we could do what they did to us in was it 2018, that would be fantastic. Just to run it down their throats and just control that time of possession a lot. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, controlling the tempo of the game will be important. We've seen this before, not against Youngstown, because Youngstown wasn't the really high octane offense of the conference. It was more Southern Illinois, and back then we've seen that where we've gone out with pretty good defenses. When you go on a road trip in the Valley, sometimes it's tough to slow those teams down at home, and got into track meets. So control the tempo of the game. Don't let it be a shootout where, it really feels like those shootouts, you get into those, it's anybody's game, one play or two here and there kind of up for grabs. So I'd love to see us control the ball, control time of possession, get some quick 3 and outs on them right away would be important. But I could see it where we come out flat and all of a sudden we're in a dogfight for 4 quarters. That is absolutely not out of the question. I don't think there's any way there's any way we would get blown out in this game. But boy, I could see us becoming a dogfight. I don't think it ends up. The real kicker is, realistically, if we lose this game, we probably still get a top 2 seed. I would bet. But there's a lot on the line beyond that I don't think the team thinks about. They shouldn't think about. I don't even want to talk about yet till the season's over. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to see us take control of that game from the start and control tempo and get them off their game plan.
Brian thinks the spread is going to be 17.5. He's going to take Youngstown. SDSU is going to kick a 65-yard field goal to cover and win by 18. I'd be all right with that. It will be interesting to see the spread. I think it's probably going to be at least 14, maybe 17, which, again, it's just weird to see those big spreads, especially for an away game. Jesse makes a good point here, and that's an issue that we had against USD and ndsu, is that we gave up points on the first drive. And, I mean, we responded very well, but you'd like to see them not be able to get any momentum at all. And so, I think we'll see this. I think that Jimmy, with his comments this week, I think the defense is going to be fired up and ready to go. I would not want to be Youngstown State this game going against that fired up defense.
You think Jimmy lit a fire under their hiney this week? Maybe.
I think they're going to come out with an attitude, which is
100%.
Bad news for.
That's what I'm saying.
Jimmy's smart enough to know that this is going to be a hard game to get up for, and that the defense is going to have the biggest challenge of this game. I got the squeaky chair, Jesse.
I have one too, but I just think
mine's squeakier because I move around. I could see Jimmy being smart enough to, we didn't play great on defense, not up to their standard, but also just taking a little bit extra further and really driving that point home just to make sure everybody's sharper than tacks on this trip. I'm sure the coaches recognize what a problem it can be too, with if you got Mark talking about it. I'm sure the coaches know, and I could see him, we're going to make a little bit of an extra point after this game to make everybody really hyper focused on going into this one.
Yep, no doubt. Jim says that Griffin effing Wildy will go off this week. Garrett Meyer predicts 41-20. And yeah. So other than that, I don't have anything else to say about this game.
Yeah.
They definitely.
When's Youngstown going to finish the other half of the stadium? I've been waiting.
Y-Town, care to chime in on that?
Just giving you guys a hard time. It's just,
they have that really big one side,
gigantic side that seats like 20,000 people on one side.
It's gigantic
stadium.
I mean, they had to have been planning for another side just like that, like for future FBS.
But think about that. It's going to look like a clamshell. It would. If
Yeah,
you put the same, like, and you don't finish the end zones, like, it looks like it was built to be expanded eventually to 75,000. It's huge.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
that's not a knock.
How many
It's
steps
expensive.
is that up that thing? Because like it's
Oh my God.
3 times as tall as Coughlin was, and yeah,
And it doesn't have. If you look at it, I don't think it has elevators up there. Like, talk about getting some money from your elderly fans who don't want to. It's like, I got the cheap tickets this year and had to walk up 75 stairs, honey. We're going to spend that extra grand to get the seats on the 20.
I love it. Jim Poppin says we're going to get that 50 burger, 51-17. Good guy. Steve Anderson says 48-17 rabbits. Y-Town says they can't even fill the big side to begin with. Oh my God. There's 69 rows to the top.
good thing they didn't do 70.
That is nice.
I like your style. All right. I like the stadium a lot more now.
Respect.
But still, like, compensating for something, or
yeah.
Garrett Myers says 31-17. I'm more in line with, or Seth Meyer, sorry. It says 31-17, and I'm more in line with that thinking. Kevin says 31-13. I mean, I can get on board with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would love a 50 burger. We've only seen one this year against Drake, and
I'd like to see us get back to scoring 40 points.
The Drake team that has gone on to play really good football the rest of the year. But we must have lit a fire in them, I guess.
What a line. How spoiled are we? I'd like to see us get back to scoring 40 points.
Well, I said 50.
I would like to see that.
Slack
I would like to see that. I'm just
33 against
NDSU. Like I said, we don't know when this type of season's going to happen again. Just let us enjoy it, man.
Right. I'm not saying I'm not enjoying it. I'm just commenting on how spoiled we are. I'll enjoy the hell out of that.
Oh, I fully realize how spoiled we are. I've been tweeting about it.
That's awesome.
We're so spoiled. The only thing you and I have. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say we're so spoiled that the only thing you and I have to argue about in a game is if we should go for it or kick it. And obviously, you were right.
And our most heated argument was at this volume.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is different.
That's not normal.
It's not normal. It actually feels kind of weird.
Yeah. The last comment I'll say is that you mentioned it earlier, our red zone struggles against NDSU. I'd like to see us get back to our red zone dominance and have as much as Hunter Dustman's been amazing this year. He's had some really good games lately. I would like to see us get back to scoring touchdowns and having Hunter Dustman kick extra points instead of field goals. So if we can do that, it won't be a game at all. If we kind of keep kicking field goals and let them hang around, it could be interesting. So
let's not neglect the fact that NDSU is better than maybe even their record. I mean, that was a pretty quality team out there, especially on defense. They looked pretty good.
Like I said, they looked better than I thought they would. No doubt.
Well, I told that to some NDSU fans that are friends of mine from Fargo, like that they admitted themselves that they weren't ready for the South Dakota game. The game in Grand Forks just doesn't happen. No, you're dragging this out to be an hour, Dustin. Keep making comments, and I'll talk. We've
got another minute, so don't you worry.
No, but Jim, they weren't ready for the South Dakota game. No, go ahead. We already talked about them enough.
I know we did. Jim hasn't chimed in yet. I was just waiting for him to tell us that we're in garage time.
And we've usually got 3 minutes after he says wrap it up. So we're doing all right.
You know what they say. You can't spell Jim without J-I. So he's our official buzzer.
True. He asked me if I've got the J-I shirts designed yet. If you haven't seen
J-I-A-I shirts, yes.
If you haven't seen the tweet yet, you can't. Oh, there it is. Man,
it looks so white. Oh, look,
it's that ring light.
It's pretty close. It's just a blank screen, white screen. You're not far off from what you have.
You'll have to go find it on Twitter.
Did you see my J-I-A-I that I had on the AI last night? Ben, have you seen that yet? Oh,
Mm-mm.
I can maybe pop it up for you. Hold on.
Yeah, Chad's stealing our shtick.
What?
Hey, yeah.
He stole our bit.
You aren't the
100%.
only ones that get to play with
100%
AI.
stole our bit.
Oh, yeah, I'll show
Okay.
you. Well, if you'd watch our other podcast, maybe
He did a
you'd
whole
know.
bit on the A theme. Look at this guy.
I haven't had a chance to review your podcast yet. I watch it every week.
A team
Oh,
steals
okay.
Dallas. Now they're stealing
Only
Chad.
Wednesday.
Now they're stealing the AI
So
bit. Look at
just
these
wait.
guys. Look at these
No,
guys.
it's not. Steve said my search history is showing. I had to look at my phone and see what was showing. It's just a picture.
It happens to the best of us.
Sickos.
Is it a
All
picture of what? It could be.
It's just a shirt that says JIAI. No.
Sure it is. Prove it.
Sure it is. Or it says Jesus,
No.
J ISIS. Making
See,
a comeback.
There you
Jim-
go. This is what I had for you, Ben.
Oh, that's
That's our
It
title
looks like it's from a
slide.
ring.
That's our
does.
title slide. I mean, the kids kind of got not long enough hair for the ring.
I'm gonna have to go watch it now. I mean, I was gonna watch it anyway, but yeah,
Yeah,
Sure
definitely,
you are.
totally gonna watch it.
Now I'm gonna watch it.
I was.
Whoa.
I do
Bet,
every week.
hold on. Brian's coming in with a serious bet here. He's
I mean,
pretty
that's-
confident.
For me, I feel like this is a bigger deal for Chad than anybody else.
It is. Yeah.
I might get divorced. My wife said never again the last time I shaved it off, for the record.
So
She's like,
you're
I
not
don't want
willing
to
to make
date a
this bet?
10-year-old.
It wouldn't take me to long to grow this back. But how long would it take you to grow that back, Chad?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, 3 months probably.
Serious? You can get that in 3 months?
Yeah, it doesn't take that long.
Jesus.
But when it gets here, it just stays. This is,
Yeah.
as
Harry-
Brendan was talking about the beard oil, it doesn't,
Yeah.
I beard oil this and it just still fluffs out like
Hairy like
birds'
animal.
feathers. Or
All right.
snuff off, yes.
We're in garage time. Go Jacks. As Jim says,
Just skip to the end line. Go Jacks. End it. End it. He said go Jacks. We're done. Nobody else
that
can
was a
say
separate comment from
No.
what I was about to say. As
We're done.
Jim says, as we always
bye.
say, go big, go blue, go Jacks.
it. Go Jacks.